Beef-beating bacteria. Magical shrinking shank. This is the scientific secret to marinating meat that every carnivore needs to add to their repertoire. If you're a meat lover, then the chances are you've had to use a marinade at some point in your culinary life. A perfect marinade is like a flavor bath for your beef, chicken, fish, and pork. It results in a delicious, tender, juicier experience on the plate. But marinades aren't without their perils. A good marinade boasts a yin and yang of acids and spices, and sweet and salty flavors, and just the right amount of soaking time is needed to achieve this kind of meaty bliss. One misstep and you could be known as that jerk who made a dry, chewy hunk of meat that will have you and your guests wishing they were a vegetarian.
Only jerk around here is the spicy marinade on this Jamaican chicken. Mon.
There's clearly more to a marinade than throwing whatever ingredients and leftover condiments you might have lurking in the fridge into a bowl. In fact, there's a whole formula to creating a good marinade. According to Bon Appetit, it requires an oil, an acid, something sweet, something savory, and some spices and aromatics. And there's a lot of choice when it comes to the acid. Yogurt, vinegar, or citrus juices not only create different flavors, but can also change the weight and texture of the meat. Serious Eats took readers to its cooking lab to help home cooks understand the role acid plays in marinades. The site shared its findings about the best way to marinate meat, specifically chicken and lamb, based on their experiments. Serious Eats marinated chicken and lamb in lactic acid, citric acid, and acetic acid. Of the three, the lactic acid was the mildest when it came to its effects on the meat's texture. Lactic acid also led to lower levels of shrinkage during the marinating and cooking process. So, why does it work so well? Well, yogurt is a great marinade for chicken because the active bacteria goes to town on the protein, while the lactic acid does its magic much slower than other acids, leaving behind a tender piece of meat that's ready to cook. The gentler interaction between the lactic acid and the protein minimizes some of the marinade challenges you encounter with vinegar and citrus-based acids. So, the next time you're making lamb or chicken, you may want to put this science to the test and try a lactic acid-based marinade. Despite what many of us might think, marinades do not go very deep into the skin and flesh of the meat. In fact, a marinade is a surface treatment. The only exception to this would be if you soaked your meat in salt, which is easily sucked up and dissolved by all the moisture in the meat. It is important to remember, of course, that meat is made up of about 75% water. Be warned though, while sodium is readily absorbed by the water in your various meat cuts, the same cannot be said about your vinegar varieties, lactic acids, oils, sugars, and aromatics. Because acid deteriorates protein, it can result in a mushy surface or prevent the protein from trapping moisture, leaving you with dry meat. In fact, Cooks Illustrated recommends very limited use of acid generally. However, chef instructor Christopher Arturo of the Institute of Culinary Education told Huffington Post that fat mutes flavors like salt and acid, so fatty meat would call for more acid in the marinade, not less. And if a marinade relies mainly on salt, it's probably more likely to be a brine. But even salt needs time to work its magic. AmazingRibs.com's resident scientist and advisor, Professor Greg Blonder, shared that you would need to soak your meat in salt for 24 hours for it to reach 1 inch deep. The conclusion? Marinades work best on your thinner cuts of beef, chicken, and pork. The Institute of Food Technologists explains that the amount of time you marinate different types of meat does have an effect on the overall taste and texture of your end product. Some meats should soak a little longer in their flavor bath than others. Beef and lamb are going to need more time than chicken or seafood, for example. Specifically, you don't want to leave seafood in a marinade longer than an hour max. Chicken can stay in its marinating juices for about 2 hours, while beef can go for up to 24 hours. What happens if you marinate your meat too long? You'll end up with mushy meat that is both unappetizing and inedible. And remember, while meats like beef and lamb keep well in your fridge for several days, raw, unused chicken should only remain in your refrigerator for up to 2 days after you purchase it.